basically happen. There is commonly a bunch of flares and lines. It's a part of the nervous that basically done with the whole surgery. Even if everything is done correctly, even if the surgery went well, anytime that goes down to standing. So he can have water basically as soon as he's back in his stall. Feed after a couple of hours just to make him question.
If you are surgery
Well, if you don't have access to the so it's right in the surgery. So usually in the field, we're doing short procedures, right? So you may have a person out for like 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that. IV anesthesia. They get so much better than IV anesthesia than they do gas. And you're not doing anything usually so invasive out there. So castration, obviously, but you're not doing like big abdominal surgeries where the person's been down there for hours and has electrolyte imbalances and stuff. So generally there's less taxation on the horse's system and less effective the rub. You may just sit up and then not to say that it doesn't have a problem with it, it's so much less. So this is another video. I don't know what he was saying, but I think they're kind of similar to before. They're getting ready to pre-med this horse, and this one goes more into the recovery, I think. So I think that's why I have on here too. So rinsing the mouth again. So see the push gate there, they're kind of tucking him into the corner there, so when he falls down, he's just going to go nicely behind the wall. So they probably just gave him a training there, or maybe a little bit more sedation because he looks kind of weak. So he's going to start to go down, someone's controlling the head. So these are the hobbles. The other video didn't show you the hobbles very well. So you attach the hobbles, one in the front legs, one in the back legs, and then those will attach to the horse and bring them down. Yeah, so they're lowering them on the table here in dorsal recumbency. A couple minutes. Once he's down, you want to get him on gas as quickly as possible. So this is their recovery room. They just finished the surgery. They have an interesting setup. See that green thing on the floor there? It looks like a big giant map you can inflate with air. You can see it's, I guess they pumped it up now. So while he is recovering but not yet attempting to rise, he's on this nice cushy air-filled mat. When he starts getting light, they'll take the air out of there and it'll sink down and just become part of the floor. So he's kind of starting to wake up a little bit. So you see how his feet are wrapped up with elastic on there? That's to protect him from, hurting his other foot with his shoe. They look very good. If you look carefully, you can still see a little loose items there. So he wants to try at this point. Whenever they think he can actually do it, they'll deflate that mat he's on. So, I don't know. They didn't want you seeing the part where he actually stood up. I guess. I don't know why we're back here. Just a couple more slides here. Are we okay with just rolling through? Yeah, we'll be done soon. So complications, horses that have a pre-existing lameness, or they're going to be lame because you did something surgically on their leg, that can make recovery difficult. You may benefit from having the horse in a pool or head and tail ropes or something. Sometimes we just have to deal with that and, do the best we can. If you give the horse a dose of phenobutazone before recovery, they often recover better, or bandamine if they have a GI surgery. They're just less painful and they can handle it better. Airway obstruction. So if you have the horse under anesthesia, especially in dorsal recumbency, especially if you've had him there for a few hours, just by the fact that his head is down and dependent where it's not usually, and you've had that tube in there, they can often get very congested nasal mucosa, like when you have a cold and you can't breathe through your nose. However, they don't have the option of breathing through their mouth. So you can get pretty significant issues when you pull that tube out and that horse is now trying to pass air and can't. So some things you can do is put a nasotracheal tube in there temporarily until the horse stands up, if you think that's going to be an issue. Phenylephrine just nasal spray, you can spray it ahead of time. But I always have a trach pack handy too. I have had to do an emergency trach on some horses that just we're passing air and we're beginning to pass out. So that is something you have. If you don't have it right next to you, you have it where you know you can get it quickly. And that's fairly simple to do under an emergency procedure. You just do it, and once the horse is standing, just can breathe again. You can just let it close out. So neuropathies, facial nerve paralysis, drooping eyelid, and lip on the affected side. Remember to take your halters off and make sure you pat their heads. Radial nerve paralysis. So look at this horse here. You see how this elbow is much lower than normal? Okay, elbow's usually right up here, right? This is a dropped elbow. So the elbow is way down here, and then the horse cannot plant. So he's planted on this right front leg, but he can't bear weight. He can't plant on this left front leg. So that's a pretty classic appearance of a radial nerve paralysis. Could also be an olecranon fracture. Could also be a humeral fracture. But provided there's no fractures, you're thinking a neuropathy here, and a radial nerve paralysis is what this would look like. So radial nerve paralysis is what this would look like. Other complications, myopathies can be an issue for any horse that blood pressure gets low, but especially on these big guys, especially on these draft horses. If we can avoid putting a draft horse under general anesthesia, we do. If we can do things standing, we would do that on a draft horse. But signs of that would be difficulty standing after surgery, those hard muscles, renal failure from the toxins produced in the muscles and they go to the kidneys. Preventing this, minimize your anesthetic time as much as possible with any horse. I mean, just good surgical planning, making sure you have everything ahead of time. If you can avoid doing general anesthesia, do it. Maintain your blood pressure above 70, keeping your anesthetic depth as light as you can for the surgical planning you need, padding in position.
Why do the muscles harden?
What's that?
Why do the muscles harden?
Just it's almost like a spasm when they have those myopathies. It's just kind of Similar sources with exertional myopathies, like tying up, and they have like muscles like rocks, you just touch them in there. Other things, hyperkalemic periodic paralysis. Have you guys you heard that yet? I think probably next year you'll have medicine. So hyperkalemic periodic paralysis, we won't need to go into it a lot, but HYPP, it's a quarter horse thing, or quarter horse breeds, such as beat horses. This is a quarter horse stallion named Impressive, and it's a genetic disorder descending on horses descended from the stallion. So basically, they get too much potassium in their systems, and they can have this anytime, but they can also be precipitated by anesthesia. So if you have a really well-muscled quarter horse, especially if you know he's from these lines, you should look into whether he's HYPP positive. And if they don't know, just be ready to deal with that. So bradyotachycardia, tachypnea, hypercapnia, muscle fasciculations. You can put these guys on acetazolamide preventatively if they're known to have a problem. It's basically a potassium wasting diuretic. Measure your serum potassium during surgery, and then don't give them any fluids and don't have potassium. Things with donkeys and mules. Donkeys and mules are not the same as horses. They're interesting little guys. They're less sensitive to any of the sedatives or anesthetic agents than horses. So when you calculate your doses, you would do 1.5 times what you would give a horse typically. They just metabolize it much more effectively. Guafenicin, I really wouldn't do guafenicin in a donkey. They're very sensitive to it, and they get hypotensive very easily, unlike horses. Donkeys, behavior-wise, are not the same as horses either. There's several behavior training differences we won't go into, but also just be aware that they can kick sideways much easier than your typical horse would, more like a cow kicking is what it's called. I've heard that they don't have the capital ligament on the head of the femur that a horse has, so they just have a lot more flexibility. And they typically recover very well from anesthesia. They're quite smart. They don't make the stupid panic mistakes that a lot of horses do. So they're, if you can get them through the anesthesia without them deciding to wake up, they usually recover quite well. So that's it. How much of that was repeat? 50%. 70. So be aware on this company exam, you're going to have dealing with small animals, you're going to have dealing with horses. If you're done with the rest of your anesthesia stuff, just be careful that you're not confusing something that a small animal would have with something that a horse would have. If you have a question on, is heart rate good anesthetic claim measurement, just know you're looking for it, it's not small. Just make sure you don't make any silly mistakes that just because we're working with muscle species. Any questions?
Do you ever
There's a moving chapter an hour and stick. I don't remember the number of it, but if you just look, you'll see that. Anesthesia, no, I think you have what you need on this PowerPoint, but there are, there's not one specific chapter that I took this from, there's just a bunch of different stuff. There is some stuff in our stick about anesthesia, but there's a lot you don't need to know, so I would just stick to the PowerPoint. If you're confused with something in the PowerPoint, come talk to me or read the book. Does that make sense? Okay. I won't see you guys, I guess, before your exam, so just email me with questions. Yeah, it'll be multiple choice plus a few short answers.